Danny Gasparini, and welcome to this segment of Penn Voice. I'm joined today by Karen Molinari, who is the Executive Director of Healthy Cities Tutoring. Karen, welcome.
Thank you.
So this is the first time you've been on Penn Voice with us. Yes. I've been learning more and more about Healthy Cities Tutoring, and I'm so excited about your program. So for the viewers that are watching, please tell us a little bit more about Healthy Cities Tutoring.
Sure. Well, Healthy Cities Tutoring started 23 years ago with a committed group of community volunteers and civic leaders, and we got a grant and we decided to do a tutoring intergenerational mentoring program in the schools. So we started 1997 with 2 students at White Oaks Elementary, and just this year we've placed 508 tutors with students in 14 schools in San Carlos and Redwood City.
So, and White Oak Elementary is in San Carlos. So that was your inaugural
Yes.
school. So how does a school get involved? How does a student get involved? Because you're obviously providing critical tutoring to a student, and then how does that student get into your program?
Sure. So what we focus on are 3 areas specifically. We are trying to help a student increase their confidence, increase their engagement in learning, and their academic performance. And basically, we are in, as you mentioned, all the San Carlos schools and currently 5 Redwood City schools. The way a student enters our program is their teacher or their principal refers them for services. So we currently offer volunteer tutors who meet one-on-one weekly with a student during the school year. Our tutors work very closely with the teachers and get assignments that the students need to be working on. It could be reading, writing, math, organizational skills, homework help. That teacher refers the student into our program.
Right.
And gives us an assessment of what that student's needs are. Then we spend time finding just the perfect tutor for that student based on their interests and the areas that they need help with.
So what age group are you working with? When do they start? When can a teacher start referring a student into your program?
So we serve students kindergarten through 8th grade.
So Karen, tell us what schools you're in Redwood City.
So we're currently in 5 schools in Redwood City. We're at Clifford, Haas, Fair Oaks, Kennedy Middle School, and Connect. Now, Fair Oaks and Haas are going to be closing next year, but we're going to be following students to Henry Ford and potentially Taft.
So can a teacher from one of the schools, either in San Carlos or the schools in Redwood City, can they refer a student to your program at any point in time in the year, or do you typically get assessments at one particular time in the year and then that student gets into your program?
Sure. The beginning of the school year is the time that we are receiving most of our referrals, but a teacher can refer a student into our program through the entire year. In fact, we were getting referrals up until the last few weeks of school. It's difficult for us to match with a tutor at that time, but then those students are top of our list come August, the beginning of the next year.
So you've talked about program growth, which is amazing. So as I imagine teachers are finding out about your program or more confident about your program and understanding that this is an adjunct to what they're doing, the demand for tutors, I can only imagine, is increasing. So what are you doing to attract a tutor in case there's anybody viewing that might want to consider?
Thank you, Danny.
What does that involve?
So we are always looking for volunteer tutors, and our tutors range in age from 14 to 96 years old. Our 96-year-old tutor has been with us for 20 years. So we are out recruiting tutors at all of the high schools, at the service clubs, senior centers, anywhere and everywhere that we can find a tutor. We go out to companies and speak to employee groups.
And I know you have a quote from some of your students about their tutors. Would you mind reading a couple of them? Because I think it really just gives a perfect example of how important the tutor is into that student's life.
It really is, and I have to say, all of our volunteers tell us that they actually receive more than they give from the relationship that they develop with their student, and I wish that everybody could have that kind of a rewarding relationship. Right. They make such a difference in a child's life. So from a 2nd grader, we have, what do you like about your tutoring? Every time you come, I learn something new. From a 3rd grader, my least favorite thing about my tutor is nothing, because she is perfect and I like her just that way. My favorite thing about my tutor is reading a book of pigs. I draw him a perfect heart and with stars. I love him. I like everything about him.
So obviously that does warm your heart in becoming a tutor. What is the time commitment to being a tutor, and do you typically stay with the student year after year?
So we ask our volunteers for a 1-year commitment, and what you're committing to is 45 minutes to an hour once a week during the school year. Usually tutoring happens before, during, or after school. Occasionally can happen on a weekend at a public library if that's most convenient for the family and the tutor. We do ask, as I said, our tutors to make a 1-year commitment, but often the relationship that develops is so close and so rewarding that our tutors often follow our students throughout many years.
Right. And I think the goal is to then work with the student for that year. And typically, how quickly do they then get back on track and being at grade level and may not need a tutor in the following year?
So we have found that often after a few years, our students are performing close to grade level. And we've also found that our students actually exceed grade level, which is lovely. Though I will say, after you've been working maybe 3 or 4 years with your tutor, that relationship and that mentorship is so important that they continue meeting and talking about life skills and organization and setting goals for high school and college. So often our tutors will still work with their students past their academic needs because there might be social emotional needs that they can help with, and just having that champion, that advocate by your side, encouraging you every week to do your best.
Right. So for our viewers, if they know of a student that they may want to refer into Healthy Cities tutoring, we'll encourage them to do that. If they'd like to become a mentor, we'll encourage our viewers to do that. What else can people do to support Healthy Cities tutoring that may not be one of the two just mentioned?
So I would like to just reiterate that our teachers are the ones who refer into our program.
Right.
So we do often get parents who call us and say, oh, I'd like my student to have a tutor, and I refer them back to their teacher and say, please, have your teacher refer the student to us, and then we'll get the paperwork in process. Volunteers can go to our website and find out more information about how to volunteer. As with any organization, a nonprofit, we don't operate without volunteers. That is critical to us. So volunteers, 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 that's what we need. Without that, we can't provide the services. And then, of course, funding is always appreciated. Right now, we currently receive funding from city, school district, and PTAs in both districts to cover about 25% of our cost. And then my staff and I raise the other 75%. And that's through individual donors, grants, events.
So any one of our viewers can also be a contributor to your organization.
We would love that.
So we just have one last question. And what is it that you want to leave our viewers with? That one last wish or that one last, want?
So I think, as I mentioned before, I wish that everybody could have that feeling of rewarding experience of helping a student. You make such a difference in a student's life just by showing up. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to even be interesting. You just have to be interested in what they're doing and what's going on in their life to make a difference for that student. And we would love to have as many volunteers as we can. We always have a wait list. So if people are interested in signing up and learning more about us, I hope they'll go to our website. We have 2 upcoming trainings happening October 16th at White Oaks Elementary School and November 7th at Clifford Elementary School, and those are both on our website.
And I love the fact that you provide training for your tutors. So again, it's I always liken it to the game show, Are You Smarter Than a Fourth Grader? Because I keep thinking to myself, I couldn't tutor a 6th grader. I don't know the 6th grade math anymore, but what you're telling me is I can. And you have ways in which you can train even someone like me.
We do, and I have to say, many people often say, I can start with a 1st grader in reading, and then you grow with your student and you learn along with them. But we offer training, and the teachers are great in giving us, information and packets and things to work on.
Right. Well, Karen, thank you so much for joining us on Penn Voice. I appreciate the time you've taken, and I appreciate all of the work you're doing with our San Carlos and Redwood City School students. It's a wonderful program. I hope everyone gets in touch with you to become a tutor and to support Healthy Cities tutoring.
Thank you, Danny.
And we'll see all of you next time on Penn Voice.